adrenal glands. So adrenal glands, these are found just over the kidneys. These adrenal glands, right? These cells from the adrenal gland synthesize a number of hormones, the most important being adrenaline. Adrenaline. So this is called as cell differentiation. So all these cells, right, a cell from our hand, a cells from pancreas, a cells from adrenal glands, these all got multiplied and developed from one a single mass only. But now different cells have different function. A cell in pancreas are capable of synthesizing insulin because the genes responsible for the synthesis of insulin is activated only in pancreas. It's activated only in pancreas. The genes responsible for the synthesis of adrenaline are activated only in the cells of adrenal glands. So we have rods and cones, the cells in our eyes which are responsible for the vision. These cells are sensitive to light. As a result, these cells are capable of producing images which we can see. This is because the genes responsible for these sensory receptors or these sensory activities are activated only in the cells of our eyes. Fine. So now let us discuss the different stages of growth. Sorry, let us continue the discussion in the prenatal stage. So what are the things happens during the prenatal growth? I hope you are comfortable with the process of fertilization, formation of a zygote, embryo, getting it implanted, and after getting implanted, how it grows. The development of two layers, amnion and chorion. Okay, fine. So during prenatal stage, there will be an increase in the number of dividing cells. There's an increase in number of cells simply. There will be an increase in number of cells. At 60 days, there will be around 0.2 multiplied by 10 to the power of 12 cells. At the time of birth, there will be around 2 multiplied by 10 to the power of 12 cells. For a fully grown adult, the number of cells will be 6 multiplied by 10 to the power of 30. The first important thing, there will be an increase in the number of dividing cells. Right. There will be an increase in cell size. So the size of the cell also increases. This increase in cell size, right, continues even after birth, and it continues almost up to 10 to 11 years. Almost until a human body matures or grows to become sexually or grows to reach that sexual maturity. Until 10 to 11 years, there will be an increase in the cell size. And the increase in cell size is largely because of an increase in protein, DNA ratio. protein DNA ratio. I hope Kavitha madam might have taught you about the process of protein synthesis. Cell wall, cytoplasm, and then nuclei. Inside the nucleus lies the chromosomes, DNA, etc. The DNA undergoes replication, transcription, translation, which leads to protein synthesis. I hope Kavitha madam might have taught you all these things in detail. So, this process of DNA replication, DNA transcription, and protein synthesis continue to happen inside the nucleus. As a result, there will be an increase in the amount of protein. These proteins will be further the protein synthesized inside the nucleus will be further processed by the endoplasmic reticulum. I still remember Kavitha ma'am teaching you the smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulums. So there will be an accumulation of protein in the cell. As a result, right, there will be an increase in protein DNA ratio. This results in the increase of cell size. Increase in cell size. The next important process, between 0 to 2 months, we call this stage as embryo stage. In embryo stage, the next important process which actually happens is regionalization. So regionalization means cells migrating to different places. Initially, right, it was a homogeneous mass of cells. After gastrulation, it becomes a three-layered one. And slowly the cell migrates. Okay. So a few group of cells here, right, will migrate to form head region, thorax, abdomen, arms, legs, etc. So this is called as a regionalization. So now it is this cells from here, these migrated to form a region called as head. Now in this head region, there will be a number of cells, and it is these cells, right, which will further divide and differentiate to form brain, different regions of brain, eyes, nose, the hypothalamus, right now. This is one gland which is found here in the head. It is the hypothalamus, right, which gives signals to the pituitary gland. To the pituitary gland. You know, pituitary gland, right, it will be exactly here. Okay, pituitary gland. You know, pituitary gland is the master gland. It is the pituitary gland which is going to activate all other endocrine system. So all these develops from the differentiation of cells which migrated to this region, forming head region. This process is called as regionalization. So regionalization happens in the embryo stage itself. So after regionalization, the other process starts, that is the histogenesis. Histology is the study of what tissues. Histogenesis, right, refers to the formation of the differentiation of the cell to form different tissues. Now in the head region, right, we have one single mass of cells. These cells, right, will divide into form a brain, eyes, here, pituitary gland, the hypothalamus, etc. So that is one single mass of cell further divides, it differentiates to form specific tissues. And every specific tissue now have its own function. This is called as the histogenesis. After regionalization comes histogenesis. So after histogenesis occurs the morphogenesis. That is giving definite shape to different regions. People's head, right, cannot be a triangle. It needs to be spherical, right? Our arms, it should be linear. We cannot have an arm like this, right? Arm should be linear. This is called as morphogenesis. And morphogenesis, right? So major aspect of the morphogenesis gets completed at 8 pmw, but it continues almost up to adulthood. Even after birth, right, the process of morphogenesis continues. The process of morphogenesis continues. So after this, right, peak velocity of length and peak velocity of weight. This occurs at 18 pmw post-menstrual week, and peak velocity of weight occurs at 34 post-menstrual week. So before going into what is this velocity of length and what is the velocity of weight, I will explain you what is this post-menstrual week. So during pregnancy, you can see the doctors using the term PMW, post-menstrual week, because this actually gives the accurate age of the embryo. See, take for example, for a woman, 1st August. On 1st of August, if her menstrual cycle begins, the last menstrual stops and the new cycle begins. So egg will start growing. By August 15th, or somewhere between August 12 to August 17, the eggs will reach its maturity. And then, right, by August 28, the cell cycle ends. So it is during this period, somewhere between August 12 to August 18th, the follicles or the cells are mature enough to receive a sperm to get fertilized. Suppose if this girl's husband is there in London on 1st of August. On 17th of August, he comes to India to meet his wife. On 17th of August, right, she may get fertilized and she may get conceived. And on 28th, what happens? On 28th, the menstrual cycle will stop. She won't experience any bleeding. There will be no menses on that day. Menses stops here. And once when it stops, right, then they may guess it may be due to pregnancy. So maybe after 1 week, maybe by September 1st, if they test positive for pregnancy, then what the doctor will tell, yeah, good, your baby is growing now, and the baby is now 30 days old. That is 30 for post-menstrual week means we can divide these 4.3 PMW post-menstrual week. They say your baby is 30 days old. Now he should not complain, sir, what is this? I came here on 17th only. So my kid should be some 13 or 14 days only old. How you are saying 1 month old? Fertilization happened on 17th. But the egg is the actual individual, right? Egg was growing even much before that. Egg was some 14-15 days old now, 17 days old now. So they calculate the age from this day and not from the day on which a egg got fertilized. So it is here, right, the previous menstrual cycle stops and the new cycle starts. So from here, right, they calculate the age of an individual. That's why we use the term post-menstrual week. So now let us discuss what do you mean by velocity of growth. Velocity of growth. So velocity of growth means growth in a given period of time. So this generally they calculate when a kid is growing. And every month how much it grows. So for example, suppose if an individual grows at an alarming rate, first month, second month, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. So the first month the kid grows 2 centimeters. Second, 3 centimeter. Third, 4 centimeter. Fourth, 2 centimeter. Fifth, 3 centimeter. So a growth in this period of time, right? This we call it as velocity of growth. Velocity of growth. So the peak velocity of length, right, it occurs at 18 post-menstrual week. In that particular week, right, we can expect a maximum growth of length. And the peak velocity of weight, right? So can you understand what the velocity of growth? Velocity of growth means growth at a given point of time, within a given period of time. That we call it as velocity. So the peak velocity of weight, it occurs at 34 post-menstrual week. Okay. So the proportion of cells which undergoes mitosis, right, it progressively decreases as the fetus grows, and after 6 months there will be no new addition of muscles and nerve cells. Muscles and nerve cells. So next aspect is muscle building. Muscle building. So the muscle building, right, it develops, the muscles for the fetus develops largely because of the accumulation of salts and protein. Initially, right, inside a cell, there will be too much of intercellular water. There will be too much of, this is our chromosome, this is our nuclei. There will be too much of intercellular substances. Intercellular substances, mostly water. Mostly water. So what happens as the fetus grows, there will be a large scale accumulation of salts and protein. So when the protein synthesis increases, so there will be an accumulation of protein, and when nutrient salt also reaches sodium, potassium, etc. As a result, right, these intercellular substances within a cell, intercellular, this starts decreasing, and this actually, as a result, right, cytoplasm grows and it gives lot of strength. This actually results in muscle building. This results in muscle building, the incorporation of proteins and salt, and with the disappearance of intercellular substances like water, the cells become stronger. This results in the muscle formation. And the process of muscle formation continues up to 3 years. So what are all the important things which you need to know in, or you are supposed to write in the prenatal stage? First thing is increase in number of cells and increase in the cell size. Cell number and cell size. Okay. So next is the increase in regionalization. Then histogenesis. So histogenesis will be followed by morphogenesis. muscle building, peak velocity of length and weight. I told you the peak velocity of weight, right? It occurs at 34 p.m. W, post-menstrual week. It is after this 34th week, the fetus will start influencing the maternal uterus. The baby will start hitting the stomach. Fetus will start influencing the uterus. Until now, right, fetus will not have any influence on the uterus. Okay, fine. I hope you are comfortable with the prenatal stage. So next is infancy and childhood. So from the time of birth until the attainment of adolescence, maybe up to 13 or 14 years. Infancy and childhood. There are a number of things which are going to develop here, both biologically as well as socio-cultural aspects. Okay, the first important thing is immediately after the birth, so there will be number of physical as well as behavioral development. The first important thing is immediately after the birth, a baby will lose its 10% of body weight. Immediately after birth. So this is largely because of exposure to the outside environment. As a result, there will be a large scale loss of intracellular fluids, or I can say extracellular fluids. Extracellular fluids. Say, this is one cell, this is the another cell, this is the another cell. In between these cells, there are some spaces, right? These are called as extracellular or intercellular spaces. These generally will be filled by some fluids, mostly water, which we call it as extracellular fluids. So immediately after coming to the outside environment, there will be a large scale loss of extracellular fluids. As a result, there will be a 10% decrease in the body weight. But within a matter of time, within 10 days or the maximum, right, within 2 weeks, the baby will regain its body weight. Will regain its body weight. Then I have mentioned how the baby grows, what is the rate at which it grows. There is no need to memorize these numbers here. Simply you can just mention there will be an increase in body weight and there will be an increase in the length of the baby. There will be an increase. Okay. I can just mention that at 5 months, the infant's weight doubles. At 5 months, the weight doubles. And by 1 year, the weight triples. So there is no need to write all the numbers here. At least if you write this is sufficient. Then similarly, at birth, a baby will be 50 centimeters tall. and it becomes 90 centimeters by 2 years. This is something very boring, right? Okay. Simply you can mention there will be an increase in body weight and there will also be an increase in the length. But other things, right, we need to mention it very clearly. That is stem stature index. Stem stature index. So stem stature index means this is equal to sitting height divided by standing height multiplied by 100 gives stem stature index. They'll make the baby to sit and they'll measure the length. They'll make it to stand and they'll measure the length. So the stem stature index, right now, this gradually decreases with the age. It will be 67 percentage during birth, 64 during 1 year, 61 by 2 years, it will become 58 by 3 years, and slowly by 10 years this becomes 52 percentage. Remember this, 67 to 52 percentage over 10 years. The denominator we have standing height. So what exactly we mean by this? So there will be an increase in or the rate at which the legs grow, right? That is more than the rate at which the growth of rate at which the thorax grows. So if you want to know a kid is growing properly, then we need to calculate the stem stature index over time, and every subsequent stem stature index should be less than the previous one. This is stem stature index. So during the infancy and childhood, there develops a number of motor clave component. We say gross motors, fine motors. Gross motors means jumping, running. Fine motors means activities like writing, seeing, observing. So during the childhood and infancy and childhood, there will be a number of there will be development of a number of motor clave components. But let us mention at least few very important things. So at 8 months, a baby crawls in the floor. That means it is capable of turning himself the other side. It can lift its abdomen and it can crawl. By 1 year, at the first birthday, generally kids will be in a position to stand by holding a support. Stand by holding a support. That's by 1 year. By 18 months, 1.5 years, a child develops hand-mouth coordination. If you give something in its hand, it is capable of taking it and keeping it exactly in its mouth. So from a plate it can take and eat. This is called as the hand-mouth coordination. It generally develops by around 18 months. Then by 2 years, a kid will be capable of climbing steps. But with both the feet in the same step. That means it will keep one foot in this step, next feet also again in the same step by holding the thing. The next feet here, keep the other feet also here in the same step. It is both the feet in the same step by keeping both the feet in same step. A kid will start climbing the steps by 2 years. By 3 years, a kid can climb with 1 foot in one step. Keeping 1 foot in one step, it can climb. So this is sufficient about infancy and childhood. Slowly, right, by 2 years, the kid will also start speaking. Monosymbolic vowel starts developing. Correct? Okay. So what are the things we need to mention here in infancy and childhood? The most important thing, there will be growth in height, weight, no doubt. Along with that, what is the stem stature index and how the stem stature index decreases over time. And what are all these motor clave components? Motor clave components. And how these motor clave components are develops over time. The most important thing is crawling, standing by holding a support, hand-mouth coordination, climbing the steps at 2 years and at 3 years. So this is sufficient about infancy and childhood.